There's something inside you that's screaming to awaken, but every day you give in to certain habits. You're silencing it. You've felt tired, unproductive, disconnected, and you don't even know why. And the harsh truth is, it's not the world that's defeating you. It's you who has become your own silent saboteur. You don't need enemies when your own habits are destroying you from within. Every time you choose comfort over effort, every time you give in to mockery, laziness, or fear, you're handing over pieces of your strength, your character, your potential. But you're not broken. You've just been asleep. Stoicism won't stroke your ego. It will push you to wake up. Today, we're going to dismantle one by one the 7 habits that have been quietly weakening your mind, body, and spirit. And we'll do it with the kind of brutal honesty that allows you to rebuild from the core. Stay with me until the end. Because if you have the courage to face what's been dragging you down, you'll find the power to rise like never before. Before we begin, I want you to declare your commitment by commenting, "From today on, I will no longer accept what weakens me." That sentence will be your reminder that you're here to reclaim your strength, not to keep surrendering it. This is your moment to rise with conviction and take control of your life. Let's begin. Habit 1. Mocking others makes you your own worst enemy. No one becomes strong by tearing someone else down. And yet, how often do we do it? Sometimes without even realizing it. Other times with full intention. A joke here, a jab there, a laugh disguised as just kidding. But behind every mockery lies something darker, a reflection of insecurity, of fear, of smallness. Because a man who is truly solid has no need to ridicule anyone. He doesn't find joy in others' mistakes. He doesn't feel pride in someone else's fall. When a man mocks, he reveals himself. He exposes what he's hiding, his need for validation, his lack of inner respect, his desperate desire to feel taller, even if it means stepping on someone else. But what he doesn't understand is that every time he does it, he doesn't grow, he shrinks. Because respect is never earned by making others feel small. It's earned through presence, composure, and wisdom. Mockery is the armor of the weak, a shield that only protects a fragile ego. And once you get used to wearing it, you forget how to look with compassion. You forget how to listen without judgment. You forget how to teach without humiliation. You think you're in control, but you're trapped in an internal battle that enslaves you to your need to stand out. I've seen men destroy friendships, teams, even families, just to maintain the illusion of superiority. And the most tragic part? They end up alone, surrounded by hollow laughter but cut off from real respect. Because the man who mocks slowly distances himself from true strength, the ability to build, to guide, to inspire. But this isn't just about what you do to others. It's even more about what you do to yourself. Because once mockery becomes a habit, you don't just look at others with disdain. You begin to treat yourself the same way. You become your own harshest judge. You stop allowing yourself to fail. You stop speaking to yourself with respect. You punish your mistakes with cruelty. You become the enemy who won't let you grow. And here's the most ironic part. We often mock exactly what we fear in ourselves. We laugh at the weak, the clumsy, the one who fails, because deep down we're terrified of being seen the same way. So when you feel the urge to mock, stop and observe. What are you trying to hide? What part of you are you denying? The silence of the wise is not indifference. It is awareness. It is compassion. It is maturity. Where the fool laughs, the wise extend a hand. Where the mediocre point fingers, the brave lead. Where the weak harm, the strong build. No one remembers with honor the one who mocked everyone. But we do respect the one who, when given the chance to humiliate, chose to teach. The one who, when everyone else laughed, stayed silent. the one who, when someone else fell, chose to help them up. And it's in that decision, to lift instead of crush, where true self-mastery begins. Mockery might give you a second of false satisfaction, but respect will leave you with a clean conscience, a steady gaze, and an inner strength no one can take from you. So tell me, what's the point of power if you use it to diminish others? What's the value of being heard if all you speak is poison? What's the point of being seen if what you project is misery disguised as pride? A true man is measured by what he chooses not to do, by the battles he decides not to fight, by the wounds he doesn't cause, even when he could, by the words he doesn't release, even when they're locked and loaded, and especially by how he treats those who haven't reached where he is yet. But it all begins with one choice. The next time you feel the urge to mock, stop. Ask yourself, am I building or destroying? Am I being the kind of man who leaves a legacy, or just another who speaks without thinking? And if you can stop yourself, if you can replace mockery with empathy, if you can hold your dignity while others laugh, then you're ready to face the next habit that weakens your life. One that may seem noble, but in truth is consuming you from the inside out. Habit 2. Rejecting responsibility is surrendering your power. Every man who's lost his way began by ignoring one simple truth. You can't escape what's yours to carry. And yet, we live surrounded by excuses disguised as arguments, elegant justifications that hide a devastating pattern, the abandonment of duty. Every time you postpone what you must do, you become less the master of your life. Every time you hand your destiny over to others, a piece of you dies inside. Responsibility is not a burdened word, it's a word of power, but many interpret it as a chain, when in fact it's the key. The key that unlocks personal mastery, self-respect, and true freedom. Because the one who takes responsibility transforms. The one who avoids it slowly falls apart. You are not where you are just because of circumstances. You are not who you are just because of what was done to you. Yes, your story may contain wounds, betrayals, abandonment. But if you're still blaming others for what you're not choosing to change, then you've become your own executioner. You've let the past take the wheel while you sit in the passenger seat, hoping for a new destination, without ever grabbing the steering wheel. I've heard men say, "It's not my fault. It's out of my hands. That's just how I was raised." But how long will you let your story be an excuse not to write a new chapter? How long will you keep handing the pen to the past, hoping something will change, without changing yourself first? Greatness begins with one brutal decision, to look reality in the eye and say, "This is mine. My mistake, my failure, my neglect. But also my strength, my opportunity, my path." When you take responsibility, you reclaim control. You no longer depend on the weather, the boss, the government, your partner, or your parents. It's you. You choose, you act, you correct. Of course, it's not comfortable. No one enjoys looking in the mirror and seeing the saboteur within. No one wants to admit that their pain is, in part, self-inflicted. But it's in that very discomfort that the man who can lead himself is born. Because he who leads himself can lead others. And he who hides behind excuses will be led by chaos. There is no path to strength without responsibility. It's impossible. Discipline, clarity, composure, they are all built on a foundation of self-commitment. How are you going to wake up early if you don't believe you have a cause greater than comfort? How are you going to stay calm if you think the world owes you something? How are you going to move forward if you're still waiting for someone else to push you? A man who surrenders to avoidance doesn't just stop growing, he stops inspiring. No one follows someone who can't lead himself. No one trusts a man who can't even keep his own word. No one admires the expert in excuses. And here's the truth. Life is watching you. It offers you opportunities, challenges, pivotal moments. But if you're not present, if you're unwilling to carry what's yours, it will simply hand those gifts to someone else. Because life doesn't reward complainers. It rewards those who shoulder their cross and move forward. Each time you run from responsibility, you make yourself weaker. You get used to others carrying your weight, thinking for you, fixing what you avoid. And before long, you don't even know who you are without help. You don't know how to move without being told. You don't know how to choose without fearing you'll be wrong. But when you choose to own it all, even what isn't yours, even what you didn't cause, you become a force that nothing can stop, because the world no longer dictates your steps. You walk, you fall, you rise, you walk again. It's not easy. There will be days when you want to blame the world, when it all feels unfair, when you want to scream that you deserved better. But remember, every time you choose the path of responsibility, you are forging a character that doesn't bend. You are tempering a spirit that doesn't quit. You are building a version of yourself who will one day look back with no shame, no regrets. And it's right there, at the moment of reclaiming your power, that you discover another subtle yet equally devastating habit. One that seems harmless, even wise, but hides the perfect trap for weakening you from within. Your inner strength is a decision. If today you decide to leave behind the habits that weaken you and reclaim authority over your life, subscribe. This space exists for those ready to rebuild with clarity, courage, and determination. Don't let routine wear you down. It's time to be strong again. Let's continue. Habit 3. Running from failure is rejecting your own growth. There's something that deeply terrifies most people, though few will admit it. Failing, falling, messing up, being seen as someone who didn't achieve what they set out to do. That fear runs so deep that many choose not to try at all. They'd rather stay in the mediocre comfort of the familiar than face the possibility of failing. But what they don't realize is that by avoiding failure, they're also avoiding evolution. Failure is not the enemy. The real enemy is your reaction to it. Because it's not the fall that destroys you. It's the decision not to get back up afterward. Since childhood, we've been taught that making mistakes is shameful, that if you trip, you weren't good enough, that if you lose, it's better not to try again. And so, a generation grows up in the shadow of what they could have been. I felt that fear too. That sting of insecurity that shows up right before you take a risk. The inner voice whispering, what if you fail? What if they judge you? What if you're not ready? But over time, I learned something powerful. Those questions aren't warnings, they're signs of opportunity. Because fear of failure only shows up when you're close to something that matters. Running from failure means condemning yourself to live the same day on repeat. It's choosing paralysis over movement, stagnation over the discomfort of growth. And the cruelest part? Even when you do nothing, time doesn't stop. Life keeps going, with or without you. And when you finally look back, you won't see scars of battle. You'll see empty spaces where memories of courage should have been. Failing is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst is letting that fear make your decisions. Because failure, when faced with honesty and courage, is a wellspring of wisdom. One you'll never find in books or speeches. Only when you give everything, fall short, and still stand back up. Do you truly learn what you're made of? And many times what looked like defeat was actually the first step to a greater victory you weren't ready to understand yet. History is full of men we admire today, not because they were perfect, but because they were relentless, because they all failed, every single one of them. But instead of hiding, they returned to the battlefield again and again, until their scars became medals and their stumbles became stepping stones to greatness. When you run from failure, you're also running from learning. You're avoiding knowing yourself deeply. You're closing the door to lessons that only reveal themselves when you dare to push your limits. And worst of all, you're building a fragile identity, one that can't withstand the inevitable blows of life. Because life doesn't shield you from pain, it exposes you to it, so you can forge your character. And if every time you face the possibility of falling you retreat, what you're really saying is, "I'd rather be less than I could be." That's the real defeat. Choosing a reduced version of yourself just to avoid discomfort. But when you take that step into the unknown and fail, and still decide to try again, something extraordinary happens. You realize you didn't die. The world didn't end. You can fail and still hold your dignity, that your worth was never in the outcome, but in the intention and the courage. And at that point, you stop fearing failure, because you understand it's just part of the process. One more rung on the ladder, a demanding teacher, yes, but a fair one. Because those who face it with humility and resolve emerge stronger, wiser, sharper, freer. So the next time that fear of failure rises, don't reject it. Feel it, listen to it, thank it for reminding you that you're evolving, and then take the step anyway. Not because success is guaranteed, but because you understand the alternative is a slow death while still alive. And now, there's another silent trap, more subtle, just as deadly. One that doesn't look like fear, but like conformity. One that doesn't feel like cowardice, but like misunderstood prudence. A trap that convinces you to follow rules you never questioned, to submit without thinking, to obey without conviction. That's the next barrier we must break. Habit 4. Submitting to nonsense rules is surrendering your power. There's a vast difference between respect and submission, between acting with integrity and obeying without thinking. And yet, every day I see intelligent, capable, even noble men shrink before rules they don't understand, don't agree with, but still follow as if they were sacred orders. Not out of conviction, but out of fear. Not out of wisdom, but because of social pressure. They call it prudence. But in truth, it's just a more refined form of slavery. Many have gotten used to lowering their heads, to saying yes when they meant no, to accepting without questioning. Because it's easier to go with the flow, to align with the majority, to look correct. But when you accept a rule that you know is unjust, absurd, or useless just to avoid discomfort, you're training your mind to betray itself. You're teaching yourself that your truth doesn't matter, that your judgment is worth less than public approval. I've seen men betray their essence just to avoid seeming difficult, out of fear of not fitting in, driven by a childish desire to be accepted, and in that attempt to not be judged, they end up invisible, forgettable, harmless. Men who could have been great, but chose to be comfortable, who, instead of becoming leaders, turned into followers of other people's ideas. There are rules that elevate us, that protect life, order, and justice, but there are others that exist only to domesticate, to make us obedient, to stop us from thinking. And if you don't have the courage to examine them, to question them, to reject what doesn't resonate with your conscience, you will never be truly free. This isn't about blind rebellion, it's about discernment, about having the inner strength to decide for yourself what deserves your loyalty and what doesn't. When you follow useless laws out of inertia, you drain your spirit. You become an actor in a badly written play, reciting hollow lines that mean nothing to you. And each time you do it, your inner voice fades a little more, until one day you can't even remember how it used to sound. Many justify this with phrases like, "That's just how the system works. There's nothing we can do. It's better not to complicate things." But here's the truth. Every time you choose silence in the face of what you know is wrong, you are choosing cowardice. You are letting others think for you. You are surrendering your greatest power, your own judgment. Remember this. Obedience is not always a virtue. Sometimes it's the easy road that hides a deep surrender. Because true courage is standing tall when everyone else bows, holding your gaze when others look away, defending your truth, even if you stand alone. If you never question the rules that govern your life, you become a prisoner of them, and a prisoner doesn't need chains. He only needs to believe he can't move. And that's how most people live, trapped in invisible cages, following routines, meeting expectations, obeying orders they don't even understand. But there is a way out, and it starts with one question. Is what I'm doing aligned with my essence, my mission, my values? If the answer is no, then you have two options: act from fear or act from truth. Only one leads to freedom. I'm not telling you to defy everything, but I am telling you to have the strength to choose what you follow. That every step you take, every law you accept, every rule you obey, be a conscious decision. Because when you act from awareness, everything you do holds weight, purpose, direction. The men who change the world are not the ones who adapt to everything, but the ones who dare to say, "This isn't right," when everyone else is silent. They challenge with integrity, not violence, with steadiness, not arrogance, because they know that freedom is not something you ask for, it's something you exercise. And now that you understand the cost of submitting to what doesn't represent you, there's an even more subtle force weakening many from the inside. It's not about ideas or words. It's something more primal, more instinctive. And even if you don't say it, the world sees it before you open your mouth. That's the next silent trap stopping you from projecting your true strength. Habit 5, having weak body language, is announcing your fragility to the world. Before you say a single word, your body has already spoken for you. Your posture, your gaze, your gestures, the way you walk or sit. It all reveals what's going on inside. And if your body language communicates doubt, submission, or fear, it doesn't matter what you say afterward. You've already been judged. You've already been placed, and not in the position you want to be. Modern society has domesticated the male body. It's weakened the way it expresses itself. It's trained it to avoid discomfort, to avoid intimidating, to seem harmless. But a man who doesn't know how to claim his space, who doesn't stand firm, who can't hold eye contact or project confidence through his body, is a man who has lost part of his vital power. Weakness can't be hidden. It's transmitted, it's felt, it's sensed, because the energy you radiate doesn't come from your words. It comes from your presence, and your presence is directly connected to your body. How do you stand? How do you sit? How do you walk? How do you react when someone challenges you, questions you, or silently observes you? Weak body language is a silent confession. It's like saying, "I don't trust myself." And the world, which is far more savage than it pretends to be, does not respect those who show up with insecurity, because deep down in our nature, we are still tribal, instinctive, and that instinct instantly recognizes who leads and who follows, who is strong and who is pretending. Look at yourself in the mirror, not with judgment, but with honesty. Observe your posture, the way you move. Are you hunched over? Do you avoid eye contact? Do you speak with timid gestures, with hidden hands, with movements that ask for permission instead of claiming space? then inside you there is disconnection, there is fear, there is doubt, and it's time to correct it. Strong body language is not about aesthetics. It's an inner decision. It's remembering that you deserve to be here, that you have something to offer, that you don't need to apologize for existing. A straight back, a firm step, eyes that don't flinch, decisive gestures. All of that is training. But before the body, it's the mind that needs to be straightened. Many men grew up being reprimanded for showing too much. Don't be so loud. Don't be so intense. Don't take up so much space. And so they learned to shrink, to minimize themselves, to fade into the background. But in that effort to not be a bother, they became shadows of what they could have been. And the worst part is, the world responds accordingly. It ignores them. But you're not here to go unnoticed. You're here to leave a mark. And your body is the first messenger of your greatness. Use that tool as a shield and as a sword, not to dominate, but to affirm your existence with dignity. Every time you enter a room, you're saying something without speaking. Make sure that message is clear. I am present. I am awake. I am ready. It's not about aggression. It's about presence. It's not about faking power. It's about embodying your center. Practice this in daily life. When you walk down the street, when you wait in line, when you sit down for a conversation, let every movement affirm your worth. You don't need to overact. You just need to inhabit yourself. Because a man who inhabits himself, who holds his ground, who affirms himself through his body, commands respect without saying a single word. And when you do this, you'll notice something incredible. Your words will begin to carry more weight. Your voice will sound different, because it will come from a grounded body, from an aligned mind, from authentic energy. And now that you understand your body as your first declaration of power, there's another form of silent weakness that creeps in unnoticed. It's not seen, not heard, but it destroys years of potential. It's what many call routine, but in reality, it's resignation. And that is the next trap you must face. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to let go of everything that weakens you. Subscribe and comment, I break with weakness, to reaffirm your decision to live with strength, discipline, and clarity. This is only the first step toward a life where you reclaim control. When you reach the 7th habit, you'll discover why letting go of what drains your power is the greatest act of strength. Don't walk away now. You may be about to make the shift your life has been waiting for. Let's keep going. Habit 6. Wasting your golden years as if they were eternal. Many men live as if time has no limits, as if there will always be a tomorrow to start, to act, to build. But that illusion is a deadly trap. The most valuable years of your life don't come back. They're the years when you have energy, hunger, strength. But they're also the years that most easily slip away, lost to distractions and immediate pleasures. And when you finally wake up, they're already gone. Think about this. What are you building today that will leave a mark tomorrow? What habits are you planting in your daily life that will bear fruit in 5, 10, or 20 years? If your answer is nothing, or if you're focused only on surviving, distracting yourself, or escaping, then you're committing one of the most expensive mistakes of your existence. Your 20s and 30s aren't for wasting on parties, vices, empty relationships, junk content, or routines without purpose. They are the years when the foundation of everything to come is forged. If you let them slip away, if you don't plant with intention, if you don't train your mind, your body, and your spirit, you'll be digging a grave for your potential without even realizing it. Modern society wants men to lose their fire in short-term pleasure. They teach you it's okay to live in the moment, that you'll have time to grow up, that you should enjoy now while you can. But that's not freedom. It's manipulation disguised as joy. Because while you're numb with momentary pleasure, others are silently building empires. True growth isn't immediately visible. It doesn't get likes or applause. It's lonely, disciplined, and consistent. It's reading while others watch shows. It's training while others sleep. It's saving while others waste. It's saying no to the easy things to build something hard but eternal. Because only the one who plants in silence reaps with power. Picture a farmer who wastes the spring, thinking summer will last forever. When winter comes, he has nothing: cold, hunger, regret. That's how life works. You cannot afford to forget that you are in the season of sowing. Even if you don't see results today, you're forging invisible roots that will support your future. And if you're in your 30s or beyond right now and thinking it's too late, don't fall for that mental trap. Time can't be reclaimed, but the present can be conquered. What matters is that you stop wasting valuable days as if they were worthless. Today can be the beginning of your reconstruction, but only if you stop justifying your stagnation with empty excuses. Every day you let pass without intention, without purpose, without vision, is one less brick in your foundation. It's a muscle you didn't strengthen. It's a skill you didn't develop. It's an opportunity you didn't seize. You're not competing against others. You're competing against time, and time never loses. Ask yourself, what legacy are you building? What story are you writing with your daily decisions? Who will you be when your body no longer has the energy it does today? Will you look in the mirror with pride or with regret? Strong men are not born, they are forged. And that forging happens on the days when no one sees you, when no one applauds, when no one understands why you do what you do. But you know, because you understand that the sowing comes before the harvest, and that silent success is more powerful than any fleeting validation. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move forward, one day at a time, one decision at a time. But don't betray yourself. Don't waste your best years as if you were eternal, because you're not. Because every second counts, and because tomorrow you might wish you had started today. And if you're wondering how to change direction, how to reconnect with your inner fire, the answer is closer than you think. But to see it, you'll have to face the greatest enemy, the one that has ruined empires from the inside out. It has no face, no sound, but it's everywhere. And if you don't identify it, it will devour you slowly. That's the final and most dangerous trap that many men never overcome. Habit 7. Being lazy and unproductive with your time. No one's going to say this to you clearly, so I will now. Laziness isn't just a weakness. It's a silent disease that's destroying entire generations of men. It numbs you, anesthetizes you, convinces you that tomorrow is enough. But every tomorrow turns into a never. And without realizing it, your life becomes a repetition of empty days that build nothing. The world doesn't want you productive. It wants you busy, but not focused. It wants you doing things, but none that truly matter. It wants you distracted, consuming, running in circles with no direction. And if you don't take control of your time, someone else will. Laziness doesn't always show up as lying in bed doing nothing. Sometimes it disguises itself as constant entertainment, as endless scrolling, as urgent but insignificant tasks. Real laziness is letting the hours pass without working on yourself. It's having no structure, no clear goals. It's putting off what you know you should be doing. It's filling your day with noise to avoid facing your own emptiness. And the most dangerous part, you get used to it. You get used to living on autopilot, to not pushing yourself, to not going beyond the bare minimum. And when that happens, you start seeing excellence as something distant, something reserved for others. But it's not. It simply requires you to do what most people aren't willing to do. Discipline yourself. Discipline isn't about feeling like it. It's about acting even when you don't. It's about turning discomfort into your home. It's about understanding that each day has a purpose, and if you don't use it, you lose it forever. There's no going back. You can't make up for lost time. You can learn from it, sure, but never reclaim it. Look around. Most men are exhausted, but not productive. They're busy, but going nowhere. Running all day, but getting nowhere. Why? Because they have no clear direction, no focus rituals. Because they don't ask themselves at the start of the day, what will I do today that brings me closer to my vision? And if you don't have a vision, you're walking without a map. You're at the mercy of any distraction. You're drifting, and a man who lives without purpose becomes a slave to laziness. He becomes weak, easy to control, easy to break, easy to ignore. Rebuild your life. Eliminate what drains you. Create sacred habits. Wake up earlier. Train your body. Feed your mind. Align your actions with your vision. Don't wait until you feel ready. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. And if you fall, start again. Falling isn't the problem. Staying down is. Your time is your greatest wealth, but it's also the most fragile. It slips away without making noise, without asking permission. And if you don't make it sacred, it'll disappear into excuses. Ask yourself, what did you do today that brought you closer to your best self? What did you remove from your day that used to drain you? At what time did your life really begin today? Or are you still waiting for the perfect moment? This isn't about becoming a machine without rest. It's about honoring your time, living with direction, choosing to no longer give your hours to laziness, chaos, or oblivion. Because the one who masters his time masters his life, and the one who masters his life is free. Not because of what he has, but because of what he no longer needs. Because the essential is in order, and only those men who wake up each day with purpose achieve that. Now that you know, don't allow it anymore. Let today be the last day you hand your power to lethargy. Make time your ally, and start living as if your legacy depended on it, because it does. We live in times where weakness has been disguised as virtue, where laziness is justified with speeches about self-acceptance, and personal neglect is celebrated as freedom. They've convinced us it's okay to postpone, to give in, to lower our heads and live without direction. But what few dare to say is this: every time you choose the easy road, you're giving away a part of yourself that will never return. You're abandoning your strength, your vital drive, that inner voice that once pushed you to want more. It's not the world that robs you of your power. It's your silence when you should speak. It's your stillness when you should move. It's that invisible habit you repeat each day, without realizing it's tearing you apart inside. The fall is never sudden. It's slow, subtle, an accumulation of small choices that seem harmless until one day you open your eyes and no longer recognize the man in the mirror. That's why this isn't a call to perfection. It's a call to awakening, to realize that no one is coming to rescue you, that the strength you're looking for is not out there, nor in the promises of an ideal future, but in what you decide to do, with what you have today, with this minute, with this life. You don't need more motivation. What you need is to reignite your fire, that silenced determination, that clarity you lost when you started negotiating with your greatness. Because deep down, you know it. You were made for more, but none of that matters if you keep postponing your transformation. We won't ask you to respond with words. What comes next isn't said, it's proven. I'm excited to hear your stories of transformation on this topic. Share your victories, your struggles, and your experiences in the comments. If you're unsure what to write, just type, "I break with every habit that betrays my inner strength," to show you've completed this session. And don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and your values. For living with Stoic wisdom, your voice is essential here. Every reflection strengthens and uplifts our community, reflecting the true worth of each individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Joining this Stoic community means breaking the chains that hold you back and building an inner fortress that no one can tear down. Is there a topic you'd like to explore further? Let us know in the comments. We've also prepared a pinned comment where you'll find more about us and resources to help you integrate Stoic principles into your daily life. This is your call to take the next step toward a meaningful life. We'll see you in our next session of Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue exploring the riches of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now take this opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with more recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole master of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battle. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of becoming invincible.